Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Digital Quill podcast with your host, Mars Wilson. What's up, everybody in the Digital Quill family and humans of the world? How are you doing today? When I ask that question, I mean it genuinely. Please answer on the comment section on the platform of which you are using with how you are doing, what you're up to, what you're planning, what your goals are, what your goals aren't. Just be a human and tell me what's going on. If you don't feel comfortable, as always, you can always email me at dearmars2023@gmail.com for podcast inquiries, becoming a guest, or even just anything. That is kind of like my advice column in a way. I don't really like giving advice. I prefer to call it giving perspective because unsolicited advice is never fun. I hate getting it myself. But I do like showing a different perspective. Maybe what you're seeing may not be what I'm seeing. Maybe what I'm seeing could be helpful to you or vice versa. Whew. Wow, that was a lot of words in just a minute. What are we doing here today? Well, I know I talk a lot about motivation and positivity and getting things done and goals and stuff like that. I talk about inspiration and teaching and whatnot, right? I mean, just the last episode, we were talking about media habits and how your social media habits or your content habits might be kind of affecting you in adverse ways. How are we doing with that, by the way? It's been a few days since we've had that episode. I've been doing Let's Plays instead, mostly because of mental and physical energy. It's been a lot easier to have more fun than to just talk like this. I do have a bit of a show and tell today, in a way. On the subject of positivity and motivation. I picked up a couple of books the other day that actually have been kind of helping me in a way, refine and reframe some things that I actually want to share with you. The first one is this wonderful little book called Boundaries Workbook by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. Now, anytime I pick up information, whether it be the Bible or the Torah or anything, like Alan Watts, Wisdom and Insecurity, Striking Thoughts by Bruce Lee, even David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. Anytime I pick up books or read articles or look at information, I am not just following that book to the T. What I am doing instead is I'm reading. And I'm keeping an open mind. And I'm going, how does this pertain or apply to me? What can I do with David Goggins' story, or Bruce Lee, or Alan Watts, or Henry Cloud? What can I take from their stories, their information, their knowledge? And how can I apply that to my life and the people around me in my story? Now, this is going to sound weird, so I'm going to need you to bear with me. You've heard the saying, take everything with a grain of salt, right? Everything. It mostly applies to when you're scrolling online, right? And I know we're bringing on this subject again, the scrolling online. But it's a pretty prevalent subject, isn't it? Or is it not? I mean, how did you find this podcast? Probably scrolling online, right? It'd be cool if a friend shared it with you, but you're more likely to be finding it because you're scrolling. Take everything with a grain of salt. Everything. Any information you get, it is not the end-all be-all of knowledge. The person giving you the information does not walk in your shoes. They do not know your story, your thoughts, or your emotions. But that's where self-awareness comes in. That's where the ability to assess and reevaluate what is in your life comes in to play. It comes into play right there. For instance, The Age of Anxiety is the first chapter in this Alan Watts book, after the preface and the introduction. Your anxiety, while the physical symptoms might be the same as someone else's, might not be caused by the same thing as someone. Take a moment to pause and reflect. When you're feeling anxious, you probably feel anxious right now. Your hands are probably sweating, your heart probably is racing a little bit, your neck and shoulders probably feel tight, okay? Identify those physical feelings. The next part is, where are they coming from and why? Was it something someone said? Was it something you didn't do, but could be doing? It could be any number of things. And then after that, the next step, work through it. The physical part first. Square your shoulders. Take a few big deep breaths in and out. You know, like we've done before on the show. Breathe in through your nose, hold to the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let it go to the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. How does that feel? Do that for like 2 or 3 minutes and see the difference. Set a timer on your phone, actually. 6:19, that is the timestamp right now on this recording. Be breathing while you're listening to this episode. And see how you feel at the end. Now, I'm kind of all over the place. I'm sorry. I really wanted to do just another Let's Play today instead of a podcast episode, but I am going to do a Let's Play anyway. But I still wanted to do a podcast too, because Monday was a good episode, I think. I feel like I taught myself something even in having that episode. But really what I'm kind of darting around is I just recorded a TikTok after sobbing half the morning. It wasn't half the morning, but I did get emotional over some things. I'm not going to share it here because that's not what this episode is about. If you really feel curious, you can find my socials. You probably already are on them. But in my motivational video today on TikTok, we touched on some heavy subjects that I've touched on in the podcast before. And my brain, my anxiety, my everything, it was like, I can't do a podcast. I can't do it. I can't talk to the people of the earth. Oh no. I do it all the time. So that's false. And I didn't want to leave today's motivation to be just that. To be just the keep going and the red fire that I feel, or the red fire of fury that I feel boiling in my blood. Okay? A little bit of a hint for what that episode or video's about. But that's why I'm here right now with you, sharing these books and this knowledge and taking everything with a grain of salt, because everyone has a story. You listening to this right now has a story. I don't know it. I can't walk in your shoes. I'm not there entirely. I'm barely there for myself sometimes. But that's besides the point. When you take things like 52 Ways to Live a Kick-Ass Life, BS-Free Wisdom to Ignite Your Inner Badass and Live the Life You Deserve by Andrea Owen. That's her. That's Andrea Owen. She has a lot of good advice in here. Pain Equals Wisdom, Chapter 17. Find the Fastest Way to Peace, Chapter 9. Cannonball Out of Your Comfort Zone, Chapter 2. And actually, let's talk about that one real quick. I've expressed this before here on the show. This is uncomfortable for me. Maintaining eye contact with the camera, my autism could never. It's terrifying. I sometimes sweat, especially when I start to talk about topics that really matter and really are important to me or are really personal to myself. It's uncomfortable talking to people, maintaining eye contact. But you're not snakes, You're not gonna bite me. I mean, you might, but you're not gonna bite me and kill me, you know? Like, conversations are good. Conversations can be productive. Conversations can be taken with a grain of salt and can be knowledge gathering. And I know they say with great power comes great responsibility, and knowledge is a form of great power. That's why it's our responsibility as people to become self-aware of our actions and our choices and what we do to ourselves and to other people around us, because that is a good power to have. We don't want to be hurting people, right? Right? I would hope not, at least. Jeez. Could you imagine someone who wants to be a hurt person hurting people? That's a monster. That's not a human being. I said what I said. And I'm talking to human beings on this show. And also maybe the monsters, but the problem with monsters, as I've also expressed before, they've already crossed lines that they can't go back from. I'm trying to prevent people from crossing lines that they can't go back from, because the monsters have already crossed those lines, right? They're the ostracized from society. They have no place amongst the living, right? Right. And we're talking about the monsters who commit murder and rape. Such terrible, terrible things. Creating this show is uncomfortable. I had to step so far out of my comfort zone to ask for help when I need it. I'm still not good at that, by the way. I still make suggestions rather than directly and bluntly say, hey, I need help. Oh, that still hurts to say. Can't do it. Can't do it. I mean, I can. I should stop telling myself that I can't. I can ask for help. It is possible. I am working toward that almost every day of my life. But when you come from trauma and survival, there are some things that require certain steps in order to maintain and get through. Now, I'm going to remind you right now and right here, I'm no expert. I don't have any college degrees or any papers to show you that I know what I'm talking about. I just have experience. And so many dang books and articles and people I've talked to and therapies I've been through. I don't have a piece of paper to show you that I've done all of that. I really don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I don't have the credentials to prove to you that I can help you live a life you love and a life that you live powerfully, because that is all I want for you and for myself and all my brothers and sisters on this planet. That's all I want. I want pain to stop. Well, I take that back. Let's reel that back. Pain is an unfortunate part of life. I'm aware of that, more than I care to be. As much as I would love to live in that perfect utopia where everyone sings Kumbaya all the time and there's no famine or hunger or destruction or pain or any of that, the fact of the matter is monsters exist. The fact of the matter is as above so below exists. The fact of the matter is polarity and duality exist, and the reason those things exist is, how would you know blessings without curses? How would you know good without the bad? How would you know that knowledge can be power and be used incorrectly if it wasn't also used for good? That's going back to, we have a responsibility as people to be self-aware and to understand our actions and the actions of other people. Alan Watts' the book on the taboo against knowing who you are. Society and the system has made a whole bunch of unaware, sheltered people who are hurting, who are addicted, who are suffering. I've expressed it before. I firmly believe that if my biological father and any of the monsters before him and after him had the same support system that I'm trying to build today, none of what happened to me, to his mother, and to any of the other people in his wake would have happened. We live in a broken system. We live in a system that is not designed for human beings. I stand by that. I have talked about that, and I will keep talking about that. I will shout it from the rooftops, and if you try to silence me, I will scream louder. Wake up. Do something good for you today and for someone else today. Self-awareness isn't a curse. It's a good thing. Because that gives you the power to weaponize evil against evil. I like making the joke that I am a supervillain, but I'm not a supervillain against humanity. I'm a supervillain against monsters. They should be afraid of me, because I'm going to spend my entire life and my childhood like I was reading back in the day. These aren't even all the books I read now. This isn't all the books I've ever read, or the articles, or the therapies. All of that knowledge that I'm gathering and learning is so I can protect not just myself. Not so I can just arm myself with the ability to be aware and be there and be present in the moment, but also so I can teach other people. That's why I created time. Teach, inspire, motivate, entertain. Why do I add the entertain part? Because that's the easiest thing to do, and that's what humans crave sometimes, is entertainment. I have ADHD and autism as well, so it's with the territory. I have golden retriever and black cat energy at any given moment, and it is sometimes terrible. I started reading things like this at 6 and 7 years old, things that other children my age weren't reading. You know how weird that is? It's really freaking weird. And it's kind of nice too, because this is gonna get personal, and I don't want to get personal, but this is the Digital Quill. This is Mars Wilson's show. Again, stepping out of your comfort zone, that's like the first step, right? First step. And I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. My head hurts, my cramps are killing me. My heart kind of hurts because life. But I'm using all of that right now. Trying to. So let me take a breath, try to collect my thoughts, and let me circle back. Self-regulation is very important. When I started reading self-help books, spirituality books, philosophy and theology, I was doing that at the ripe age of 6, of 7, because I needed to make sense of what happened to me at such a young age. I was all too aware of things going on around me even back then, even if I didn't have the language and the emotional capacity to really hold on to that and explore that and understand that. I think part of it is a travesty, of course. No child should ever have to experience that. I said that growing up. I said that at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now, that no child should ever have to experience what I did. No person should ever have to experience what I did. And the truth of the matter is, people do. That's what I'm trying to prevent. I get it. Circling back to earlier, we're not going to ever really live in a perfect utopia where there is no pain and no sorrow and no problems. But we can certainly minimize them. How many women have been sexually assaulted? How many children have been sexually assaulted? Yeah. Look at those numbers. Look up those numbers and then think for a moment about how often things go unreported. Yeah. I'm alchemizing what I can. I'm stepping out of comfort zones as much as I can. Because I owe it to the small version of myself to pave a better life, a better path in the dark for others. I do have survivor's guilt. I do have imposter syndrome. Sometimes I have to face that, look at it, and be like, you don't own me. I own you. I own you, imposter syndrome. I own you, survivor's guilt. And I'm going to take you. I'm going to take you on a wild ride. Because guess what? This is me talking out loud to myself. You can pay attention or not. I didn't read all those self-help books. I didn't go to all of those therapies. I didn't survive suicide attempts. To do nothing with that. I am really, really sorry that this episode is all over the place. But there are a lot of things to read between the lines here. One of the things, I want to see if I marked it. Okay. Yeah, actually. If you are struggling with your life right now, pick up this book. I mean that. Because there are a lot of good information, or there's a lot of good information in here. Before we go any further, life is hard, healing hurts, moving forward is scary for most people. You can talk and talk and talk about what you want to do with your life. You can complain about anything and everything. Sometimes I do. But when it comes to real life changes, well, that's easier said than done. Instead, people sit and talk and blow smoke out their asses and complain that they're not happy because of so-and-so and their circumstances, and to change or work on themselves is easier said than done, so they don't. Well, I for one call bullshit. No more cop-outs. Everything is easier said than done. It's true. Words are meaningless unless they are backed up with action. Everyone knows that. Take my story. Take my example. Take my content that I'm creating and do that for you. Because as I keep saying over and over and over and over and over and over again, and I will shout it from the rooftops, I want to help you live a life you love. Live a life you live powerfully. And live a life outside of just survival. I'm not saying you're gonna stop surviving. No. Let me hold your hand while I say this. Yeah. I'm not saying you're gonna stop surviving. But surviving is not just the only thing. Okay? I know it's tough to hear sometimes. I know it sucks. I know you're like, but I just want to thrive and only thrive, not just survive. Yeah. I know. I do too. I would love a world where it is a perfect utopia. I keep talking about that. But I know, objectively, that's never gonna happen because of duality and polarity. But the great thing about life and about people and about humanity and the human condition and the human connection and the human ability to bounce back from pain is that we can do this shit together. You don't gotta go alone. You may be on your own little story, your own little path, your own journey, but there are people walking beside you. There are people living similar experiences, having the same kind of heart palpitations and the sweating of the hands and the, oh my God, I can't do it, ah. You can do it. I know you can. I know with every fiber of my being that if I can go through everything that I've gone through, if I can see other people go through what they've gone through, I believe wholeheartedly in your ability to do the exact same thing. Yes, we're not going to reach the perfect utopia. Yes, pain is going to continue to exist, but it doesn't need to hit us as heavy as it does. Does it now? Hair. That's why I do this. That's why I have these conversations. That's why I am writing my first book. That's why I am reading still. I haven't stopped reading self-help books since I was a kid. I stopped for a little bit. And that was... I don't like thinking about those times. I like thinking about those times less than I do thinking about what got me here in the first place. Which is kind of ironic in a way, because it's like, you should not stay stuck in your story. You're stuck in your past. Well, that's not really what's happening here, for one. It's a difficult thing to actually put into words right now, so I'm going to have to ponder that, but we might come back to that. I'm trying to rack my brain for other topics, and I feel like I've said all I can say about all of that, so what we're going to do is pivot to two other things. As you guys know, before we pivot to other things, let's take a break. Let's take a breath, you know? Let us take a breath, and let me prepare something. Okay. I'm going to switch the screens. You're going to see something pop up. It's the Unsealed again. I know. Crazy. Ooh, one of my favorite writing communities ever. Probably the only writing community I'm a part of, actually. And, I did a thing. It's not finished yet. But I did a thing. And, I'm going to share that thing with you. But first, we're going to talk about what it is. Dear future me, promise me you'll always keep this part of you alive. Write a poem or letter to your future self about the part of you that you never want to lose. The spark, the kindness, the courage, the laughter, or the dream that defines who you are. What do you want to remind your future self to hold on to, no matter how life changes? Reflect on what makes you, you. And make a promise to keep that part of your soul alive through every chapter ahead. Interesting subject, right? This is going to be like the last part, and then we'll end it for today, and I'm going to do that with the Let's Plays. I really needed to better prepare today's episode. I just decided to shots fired at everything. Not disappointed in myself, minimally. But yeah. Okay, switching gears to the part of the thing. Now, if you know me, chances are you probably do. I mean, we are on episode 85, I think. You know that some of my writing is visual. And by that, I mean, spoken word works for me, yes, sure. But when I do poems and letters, especially with the unsealed, a lot of that work is visual. Italics, bolds, underlines, where I place commas and periods and em dashes, and how I do my paragraphing and the syntax, like just everything in writing and language that you could possibly think that goes into writing and language usually goes into my writing. I am incredibly expressive with my writing, and it all has a very specific meaning, including the stuff written between the lines that you don't normally see just in the words themselves. Now, bearing that in mind, I want to remind you of the poem letter thing that we're doing. It's to a future version of myself of what I don't want to lose. I finished it last night after a lot of pondering. And as I said, I have to make some tweaks, so it's not done yet. I have a week before I need to submit it. And actually, this one might require another prop. One sec. I don't have all of them here. This is just my 2. Of course, I keep journals. A lot. This was my first journal as an adult after not keeping one for a while. I do not have access to my old ones anymore. I am pretty sure that they are burned or probably in a landfill, rotting away. Thank you, family. This one was started in 2021 in March or April, and it ended in 2024. There was a year or 2 where I kind of didn't write as much as I should have. In this journal, and by the way, I prefer that people don't read these unless I give them explicit permission to do so. In other words, I say, here, read this. Only because they are my thoughts. And while I am open about a lot of things, these are special. I prefer people not read them unless I am sitting right there and being like, hey, read here to here, or read this page, you know? Just putting that out there because I am showing these off in the public forum. I'm going to read you a journal entry, and then we're going to read this. 4/16, or, is that a 16? No. That's a 6. 4/6/21. My most favorite show has always been My Little Pony. I remember my mom crying once, pretty much pleading that I never get that side of me up. I like that memory. She was always so critical of my childlike behavior. I don't see the issue, personally. I sort of find this show therapeutic. I rarely stop watching this show still feeling a negative emotion. That Join the Herd song really does nail it in the head. I'll give it to ya, I'm real glad. I'll give it to ya, I'm real glad. So far, I've been writing every day, which is nice, to finally assume even a shred of discipline. That's where the journal on that page ends. That was when I was sticking to a 1-page format before I realized how silly that was, and I'm like, I can use more pages. I actually have someone who kept journals themselves to thank for that idea. Unfortunately, sometimes. No, I'm kidding. I'm just projecting, sorry. Here we go. I'm gonna read this now, because this directly actually ties into that. The prompt with the unsealed, the write a letter or poem to a future you that you, or to a future version of you, like pleading that you, for something that you don't want to give up. You know, you were here a few minutes ago. You understand what the mission is. I'm stalling. Dear future Mars, I'm writing to you from the past today, but there is another past who has a voice, and they want to speak too. I hope you will listen, even if it hurts. This past Mars we've written about countless times, and we have even written two. She has words in your journal, and shares scars on your heart. Do you know what those words are? I remember my mom crying once, pretty much pleading that I never give that side of me up. I like that memory. She was always so critical of my childlike behavior. We were talking about a show, one that we hopefully still hold close to our hearts. My Little Pony Friendship is Magic carried you through the years. It brought comfort and joy in a world so dull and sharp. Every pony had a friend, even the ones that made mistakes. Every lesson learned with Twilight and Rarity, Pinkie Pie and Rainbow Dash, and Fluttershy, even little Spiky Wikey too. Pinkie Pie and Applejack, Rainbow Dash and even little Spiky Wikey too, meant something true to you. Never lose that love and light you hold on to so tight. Never lose that curious spark and your eyes full of wonder. I know the pain behind the lens, the poison in the paper. I know it's there, but always, please remember. Love lights the world on fire. In every darkened hour, that flame you forge and the lantern you hold guide us every day. The torch you bear, the world don't dare bring you to your knees. For you stand tall, so very tall, all 5'2" of you. Never lose your wonder, your love, or you. You've carried you through. Light the way each and every day, because if you're going through hell, just keep going before the devil even knows you're there. You amaze me now. 27 is wow. 17 would be proud. 37 is next, and it might come quick. Just remember, my kid. Whatever you do, just remember. The light of love grows within you. The shadows exist, and that's okay. Stay in wonder and awe of them as they dance in your flames. Keep going. Don't stop. This is what I have to say. Keep your childlike joy and your curious nature. Ask all those questions and give some answers. Teach, inspire, motivate, and entertain so many lives inside your brain. My girl, my world, you shape it so well. Imaginary, extraordinary, and a dreamer you are. Shoot for those goddamn stars. Yeah. That is the next entry-ish for the Unsealed. It is going to have to be uploaded, next week. If yawning is contagious, please let me know if you also yawned. So a little bit about that piece in a way, because there was a little more there than than me just talking about a show in my journal entry from before. Did you notice how I included time? The digital Quill tagline: teach, inspire, motivate, or entertain. Travel, investigate, meet and make, explore, experience. I've had that term coined for a long time now. It's shown up in weird ways for me. I don't claim to be a teacher. The saying, the do as I say, not as I do, I like that saying a little bit, but it doesn't necessarily apply to me in a way, because, I don't even really want you doing what I say. I don't want to influence, but at the same time, it comes with the territory of being a public speaker, of being a writer, of being a philosophical entertainer, like Alan Watts. So I have to get comfortable with the idea that I might influence people. And that's okay sometimes. Because if I can help people live a better life, if I can help people find love and joy, man, it would be so worth it. It would be worth all the pain I've experienced. It would be all the pain, be worth all the pain I've witnessed. To be able to usher people into a new era of love and commitment and healing and understanding. That's all I want. That letter to my future self is also a letter to my past self, because that is me telling her, little kid me, who wanted to help people smile, that I'm going to do that thing, no matter how much it hurts, no matter how many times I question it, if I'm doing the right thing, if I'm doing it correctly. That's for her. It's for me. And it's for the future me who's looking at my past and is like, damn kid, you go. You go. You've got this. And you've got this too. I know you do. I don't know your story. I don't know your pain. But I can sit with you in it. I can hold your hand. And I can love you through it. I know I use buzzwords sometimes, and that bothers me. I hate buzzwords, but buzzwords, the thing with buzzwords is they make a lot of noise, right? They wouldn't be buzzwords if they didn't make a lot of noise. Take everything with a grain of salt. Everything. Apply what matters to you. And live a better life. Because, as Citizen Soldier says, living well is the best revenge. Living well is the best revenge. Keep going, humans of Earth. Don't stop. We've reached the end of this podcast episode. I think we have the power to become better people. I think we have the ability to alchemize our choices into positive, good things. So keep going. That's an order. Keep going. Don't stop. Do not stop for nothing. Because I'm not going to. I can't. I've tried. I have tried to stop. I cannot. Something inside of me is guiding me forward, even when I don't want to, I guess. Don't stop. Keep going. Remember to breathe. Drink some water. Go tell a neighbor you love them. Go hug your brother or sister. We share this planet. One planet. One people. One love. I'll see you next time. Thank you for being here.